It's time for Pod of the Dead.
There are certain things in a neo-Nazi murder movie is not one of those things I want to subject him to just yet.
And with that, welcome to Pod of the Dead. I am your host, Nicholas, and with me, as always, are the two final girls, Stephanie and Natasha.
Hello.
Hi, guys.
On today's episode, we are covering the 2015 siege horror film, Green Room. Tasha, do you want to tell us a little bit about this film?
A punk rock band becomes trapped in a secluded venue after finding a scene of violence. For what they saw, the band themselves become targets of violence from a gang of white power skinheads who want to eliminate all evidence of the crime.
Yeah, so what is your girl's history with this film prior to homework this week?
I've already seen it. I was the one that recommended it, and I still really like it.
Yeah, I had zero. Nothing. I didn't know shit. I didn't even read the blurb or the synopsis of it. So I was like, oh, I guess we're walking into this with a bunch of rock stars. I did not know this. Or like a small like indie band. And yeah, that was something I did not expect.
Yeah, so I've got a little something new to, because this is from 2015. We've covered a lot of films from 2015 and everything, so I thought I'd mix something up a little bit. And we've got quite the cast for this movie, correct? Like, we have Anton Yelchin playing Pat. We've got Patrick Stewart playing Darcy. So with this interesting cast, I found some alternate overviews that let's see if you girls can figure out what I'm talking about here.
Oh, God.
Okay.
So
Right.
Green Room, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the hardcore band The Ain't Rights. Their continuing mission to explore strange new venues, to seek out new riffs and new crowds, to boldly go where no band has gone before.
That's great.
Does that sound like anybody?
A nod to Star Trek.
Yeah.
How about a bass guitarist from a punk band, Pat Anton Yelchin, has never had trouble getting a girlfriend. Usually the problem is getting rid of them, but when Darcy Banker, Patrick Stewart, skates into his heart, he finds he has the most troublesome baggage of all, an army of neo-Nazis who will stop at nothing to eliminate him from his list of suitors. Any idea what that's from?
Some kind of romance. What is it?
That's it's escape. I had it right in my brain. I wrote this down and I forgot to fucking write the title down. Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Okay.
Mark Webber, the man that they first come into contact with at the venue during this movie. That's the cousin or whatever. He's the lead guitarist in Scott Pilgrim.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that was a stretch.
Yeah. I've only seen that movie once and I did not like it. So.
All right, last one.
All right.
The movie follows the dysfunctional Ain't Rights as they go from riches to rags when its housing development company crumbles because their embezzlement scheme and illegal business practices put them in jail.
I was hoping you were going to tie maybe into this.
Yes.
That's Arrested Development.
Yep. So I believe it's Aaliyah Shackwet, Sam, yes, from Arrested Development. So I thought that was an interesting little thing. So
You don't have any Need for Speed references?
No,
or
I thought
plots?
I thought about it. I could have. Basically, what I did is I just looked up different movies that these people had been in and rewrote their plot overviews. There you go.
That's great.
So, if anybody has any requests for any of that kind of stuff, send them our way. But this movie came out in 2015. What do you think the budget was?
Small.
Yeah. 2 million.
4.5.
Man, Tasha, you're getting really close. $5 million budget.
Wow. That was actually higher than I expected. Okay.
And with that budget, what do you believe its box office was?
Did it actually have like a wide release?
It had a wide ish release.
Ish. Okay.
Because again, the thing you have to think, yes, this is an A24 film because we're in May 24, but this is 2015. We're talking 9 years ago. We're just now getting films like The Witch and stuff like that. It has not hit its stride like it is now.
Okay, so I'm going to say 15 million.
7 million.
3.8 million.
Oh, that's sad.
Wow, it didn't even make a return. That's surprising.
Oh, we got a few like that.
There's a little bit of reasoning. So Green Room opened at number 30 in its limited release, premiering in only three theaters, culminating in about 87,000. Then it's in its an official wide release. The film premiered in 777 theaters, and it was ranked number 16 on its full opening weekend, grossing a little over 400,000. So over time, it did get some stuff, but they basically put it in a couple theaters, see if there's any bites. Okay, this seems like something we can put into other theaters, you know? So it just kind of was a slow thing. And like I said, this film basically was like going back to like my history with it. My friend Jordan suggested this to me not too long after it hit like Blu-ray and DVD, and he was like, dude, you gotta check this out. And like, I'd seen the cover and I was like, Anton Yelchin, Patrick Stewart, I don't know, like, I'm not sure, like a horror film with a horror film with Sir Patrick Stewart in it.
I know.
You're not selling me on it. Not that he's a bad actor, but I tend to steer clear of horror films that have big name actors in it. Mm-hmm. And this one delivers in a completely different way. So talking about Patrick Stewart, he said in an interview that when he finished reading the script at his country home in England, he was so terrified that he locked up his house, turned on his security system, and poured himself a scotch. He then knew that he wanted to play the Darcy Banker role because a character that horrifying would be an incredible challenge and make for a compelling movie.
Okay. Yeah, he's a great actor, so...
Yeah, and like I think they do a really good job. We're not getting into spoiler territory yet, but the introduction to his character is not so like, it's Patrick Stewart. It's just like he's anybody else in the movie.
True.
He just kind of comes in and, like he does an all right job of covering up his accent, but at the end of the day, it's still fucking Patrick Stewart. Which
I think is okay, because in the movie, they don't ever say that he's I mean, you could still be a skinhead and not be
true
American born, which it adds kind of another layer of sinisterness. Is that a word?
That works.
It is now.
It is now.
It's in the Pod of the Dead lexicon.
Yep.
But some interesting things about this. So while tracks were recorded separately and separately from the stage performances, the actors and actresses actually performed their songs. Oh, cool. So they actually were taught, like a couple of them, Anton Yelchin and Aliyah Shawkat, already knew how to play their instruments, but the other two were actually trained. Like the vocalist and the drummer were the two that were like, we have no history. So they were taught how to do it.
Dude.
So, very like the reason though that he, or not he, but the reason they did that was, he was asked, what was it? So, the director, his name's Jeremy Saulnier. He used to play in a hardcore punk band, and he wanted the film to stand the test of real musicians scrutinizing every frame. He enlisted Hutch Harrison of the American indie rock band The Thermals to teach the actors the musical parts, and they would perform them on screen. So he was very like you can tell in this film, like I have a history of being in like punk and hardcore and metal bands and stuff, like all the way through to my like early 30s. This film kind of resonates. Not that I was hanging out with skinheads and stuff, but I've run into my fair share of them through different, like in surrounding scenes and stuff like that. So, the idea of the skinhead is a very real and pretty terrifying thing when you're in certain collections of people, because they do stand out because they dress the part. They, like you can pick one out, like they're not hiding it, like a real skinhead. Like they're obviously, you have like your closet neo-Nazis and stuff. You've got like basically half of the people that are all like, yay for Twitter / the X, whatever it's called now. Like they just, that's where like, free speech goes. And there's just a lot of hate speech getting fucking thrown around. It's like, well, it's free speech. But in an interview, Jeremy Saulnier was asked, what were you most conscious about when you chose Nazi punks as your villains? So he said that Nazi punks would be a low hanging fruit for a movie bad guy, and he knew that. But the thing is, within the punk and hardcore scene, I didn't pick them because they're Nazis. I picked them because they wear uniforms. They tend towards militancy. They tend towards having access to weapons. If you go to a punk show, they're the guys who might actually do this because of the organization and because of their gang culture. So that's the thing, is like you can see someone from a mile away, jack boots. Like there's a lot of that kind of stuff when they're like talking about going to the venue. It's like, oh, like some hardcore right wing or ultra left, like talking about like, so are we talking like jack boots and stuff? Like it's like literally that is the fucking dress code of the neo-Nazi. Like it is what it is. But so this came out in the year of our Lord 2015.
I was waiting for it.
We're not going to go over all the movies that came out this year. If you want to, go back into our back catalog for any films that are 2015. I'm not just going to regurgitate. This was the year of Goosebumps and stuff like that. Star Wars The Force Awakens came out. There you go. There's a little touch tone of what was coming out. And then the little punk rock neo-Nazi film that comes out. And yeah, like basically, if you haven't seen this film, the only other films that I can really compare it to off the top of my head is like Assault on Precinct 13. Because Steph, you were even like, I'm not sure if this is a horror film. And I was like, well, there's a whole subsect of horror films that are basically siege films. Yeah,
it doesn't come across as like your standard horror film at all. That's why it was kind of surprising to me. It kind of was like action, like you said, siege, like, but it didn't, like, obviously there's, you have graphic nature and that's what makes it more horrific. But like, if it didn't have that graphic nature, it wouldn't have been a horror movie realistically.
Correct. And like the point of the violence, it's kind of like in our last film that we covered. It's to push the narrative. Like it's literally going like, oh, you thought things were bad? No, this is how bad things are. Like this is like, it's one thing after another in this film. And it does take a little bit to get into that. Because it is setting up this dynamic of the band and everything to start out with. So some people may come into this going like, it's really slow and boring and all this stuff. But I don't think it is. It's one of, for me anyhow, it's one of the few like just like legit horror films that it's like, here's some character development. You're going to learn about these characters and their relationship in the band. And that makes it so much more disheartening or whatever when they are put in peril, because you're like, oh, I know their dynamic. I know these people a little bit, which, in past films and stuff, that's kind of been something that you girls have been like, oh, there's not a lot of character development and everything. But I feel like in this film that they do a pretty good job of that.
Okay.
I don't think that there's a ton of character development aside from like who they are in the band, like you said. I think there's a lot of setup to like the circumstance that they're in, more so than them as people. Does that make sense? Like they're so down on their luck that they have to go steal gas to get from point A to point B. Like they don't have enough money to get back to where they are. Like all of these things that put them in this situation. Yeah. Not so much them as people, but like
It's the struggling artist thing to me.
Yeah.
It's like you have that struggling artist where they're like, yeah, like Tasha said, they're just, you have empathy for them as people because like they're eating beans and rice because they can't afford anything else that they got from this restaurant. Like they have these different aspects to them. And I think that makes a huge difference in terms of like, you feel sorry for them. So.
Well, I mean, like, I know, like, by no means was I ever a struggling artist in this sense, but I have played in situations and stuff where it's like, you know, you go and you're told, all right, you're going to get a cut of the door and this is going to be your, you know, we're going to pay you this much and all this stuff. And then like, we'll just subtract whatever your tab is, we'll subtract from it, or, you know, like meal in the house, like that kind of stuff is a way that like, venues, specifically smaller venues and stuff, will recuperate their investment. It's like, you know, play the show, we'll say we'll pay you $200, but you know, like we'll just cover your food, we'll cover your stuff, because then they're basically keeping that money, so that $200 stays in there. So it's one of those things like when they're going to be playing a show, but it's at a smaller venue or whatever, and all those things come down. It's like they basically get paid in beans and rice. Like that's about it. So, but yeah. So if you have not seen Green Room, we're about to hit spoiler territory. This was streaming on multiple platforms, literally up until we got ready to watch this for this week's episode.
It's on Cinemax right now. We got a 7-day free trial.
I didn't think about that. I rented it, but this is one that I didn't mind renting.
Okay, well, that's good.
This is one that I'm surprised isn't in my collection. I think it's in my cart, like online for years, and I keep thinking about buying it, and then I just keep forgetting to. So, but yeah, if you haven't seen it, it's worth its rental, you know. This was also Anton Yelchin's last theatrical movie to be released before he passed away. Back in June of 2016. So that's always kind of one of those things that's sad to see. Like you see him and he was such a young guy and passed away from like crazy ass circumstances. I believe he was like working on his car and it fell off jack stands.
Oh man.
Oh.
Yeah. So that sucks. But if you want to stick around and listen to us talk about this punk rock horror film, you're more than welcome to. We're not holding your hand through it. You know, we're not gonna drag you across to listen to us yip and yap, but we are going to. If you don't want this movie ruined for you at the end of the episode, like usually the last 15 minutes or so, we give out homework for next week's movie, which will be the last film for our May 24 month. So usually also at the end there, we kind of do like we want to shout out some stuff that maybe doesn't get enough focus, champion a little something here and there. So not only is it part of the movie club that is Pod of the Dead, you also maybe you walk away with some tentacle porn. Who knows? So without any further ado, 1, 2, 3, 4, we're going to talk about Green Room.
If you'd like to be part of our horror film club, make sure to follow us at Instagram, Threads, and Facebook at Pod of the Dead. All of our episodes can be found at podofthedeadorelse.com or wherever you stream music and podcasts. If you have movie recommendations or questions for us, email us at podofthedead666@gmail.com. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review. Or else.
With that, let me hear that 1 out of 10 review first.
Okay, let's see here. I haven't read this. It's quite a few paragraphs, so okay. Out of an interesting premise, the producers have realized one of the worst movies I have ever seen in years, and I am used to watching bad flicks and scores.
Wow.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, apparently.
Here we go.
The plot is devoid of the slightest common sense, as it is full of scenes leading to nothing. There is not a single action performed by the bad guys that makes any sense at all.
That doesn't make any... Hold on. By the bad guys?
That's what it says.
They're all calculated.
100% of their actions are literally... You just have to pay attention. all make sense, and they are explicitly like shown to you why they're doing this stuff. It's not just like we're killing people because we want to kill people. There's a lot of, granted, the first time I watched this film, a lot of it I missed, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay, here we go.
Like I even picked up on it.
They take the decision to kill the rockers, yet they don't do so when they have an easy chance. After that, instead of doing the obvious thing and mount a concerted assault, they start sending in 1 or 2 guys at a time just to let the movie drag on a little longer.
They missed the whole point.
Yeah. These guys behave in a totally unrealistic, illogical manner. They even forget to set a watch at the door of the green room where the rocker band is trapped and let them roam the complex at will.
That does kind of like, it makes me kind of like, you're not going to have someone there the whole time. Like, you need to keep these people on lockdown, and they literally are able to just walk out of it at points.
Mm-hmm. And another,
go ahead. They wanted them to leave. At one point, they were barricading themselves in the green room, not wanting to leave.
Correct, but the Nazis
allowed to, but the whole point was to get them out of there.
Yeah, but to not have a single watch to like, and it doesn't have to be right at the door, but to be like, all right, they're out, like they're like that kind of thing. Like, it makes sense to me. Like, why wouldn't you have this huge swath of Nazis? Like, you wouldn't have one guy like way off the back, just like, okay, and then like leaves. But okay.
In another unlikely turn of we suddenly discover that one of the Nazi skins sent to grease the rockers in... That's quite the way to put
Gonna
this.
Grease them up
Grease
real
the
good.
rockers is in fact a traitor who starts helping them out of the blue. He gets immediately killed by another assaulter who instead of keep firing, starts bragging about some stupid shit, giving the rockers time to kill him in turn. I am used to foolish films, yet this one stupidly succeeded in the arduous task of amazing me in every silly unturn of its preposterous unplot. There you go.
I disagree with most everything that person says.
Yeah, there's surprisingly one thing that I kind of have to like. What is it? Get rid of belief. What is it?
Suspend.
Yeah,
belief.
suspend belief. Like. Giving them the gun through the door, like there's no goddamn fucking way. But like beyond that, it's like everything else, like I don't fucking see like this is just so unbelievable. I'm like,
well, the gun he shouldn't have handed out. It should have been tossed out because there was no bullets in it anyhow.
Correct.
So like that never made any sense to me either. And some parts of it did seem a little like, obviously it's fiction, so it's like far-fetched anyhow. But I don't know. There were some parts like kind of like what they said that seemed a little bit out there, but I mean, it was a movie. You're supposed to have parts that aren't necessarily gonna fit perfectly. So
I think Pat was gonna throw it out from what I remember, but I think if Amber wouldn't have yelled, they're killing us, he wouldn't have got his hand nearly chopped off because he was gonna throw it out, and then she saw the red laces.
Oh, they were there specifically to kill them. Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
Like, no, what I'm saying is he wouldn't have got his arm chopped. No, he straight up, like, that was their goal, was they were standing to the side when that door opens. They were going to fucking come in and machete kill all of them. The only thing that kept them from that happening is Amber's character holding the door and then the others running up and holding the door because they were fucking coming in.
Yeah. But it was the whole concept of his arm getting that far out of the door in order for that to even transpire.
Oh, gotcha.
Well, they pull his hand. He's putting the gun out, and they pull him.
To toss it.
Yeah, they grab his hand and pull him in. Like, they're trying to pull him out, and, like, they're just literally going to cut his fucking arm off.
Yeah.
Which is by far the most gross scene in this film, personally.
It is. I agree.
Yeah. I think there's a worse one.
Okay.
We'll get to that.
All right, so let's hear that 10 out of 10. Roll that beautiful bean footage.
I have a confession. I'm generally a very calm and composed person, not akin to swearing, but the number of times I screamed out profanities while watching this nerve-wracking thrill ride is really quite something. So much so that at one point I just lost count. And then he goes on to explain all of the expletives.
Such as?
Fuck, holy shit, are you fucking kidding me? Freaking awesome.
Yeah,
and the like.
We need context. We need context, damn it.
Such is the riveting experience of watching this pulse-pounding, edge-of-the-seat survival action/thriller that at the end of the ordeal, you'll be left exhausted by the sheer amount of adrenaline rush you just experienced. And take my word for it, if you haven't heard or read anything about the movie, just don't. Walk in with no expectations and you'll be ready to get your mind blown, or more like ripped off with a saw blade, as this viscerally relentless thriller toys with your expectations and slams you with twists by the minute. A true masterpiece by the highly talented and criminally underrated director Jeremy Saulnier, who redefines the thriller genre with his each succeeding movie. This is definitely his best offering yet. What else has he made, Nick? Do you know?
He made a movie. This is the only... Oh, no. I take it back. I have seen one other film of his. But he made a film right before this called Blue Ruin that I have not seen. A lot of people say that that's his best film. But again, I have not seen it. He also made a movie, and I did not know this until after I had watched this movie the first time. I was like, oh, because I'm fucking horrible at, like, I watch a movie and then I need to know everyone connected to it, because it's no different than how I find different bands and stuff like that. Ooh, I like this. Who have they worked with? What is this? And you can just go down, and that's how I find a lot of stuff, is because it's like, oh, Jeremy's made this, he's made that. He made a film back in 2007 that I have watched, and it's called Murder Party. And it's a horror comedy. It's absolutely ridiculous. Basically, I can read you a little bit about it. So Murder Party is... Where is it? I just missed it. A random invitation to a Halloween party leads a man into the hands of a rogue collective intent on murdering him for the sake of their art, sparking a bloodbath of mishaps, mayhem, and hilarity. So basically, he gets like an invitation to a party, and he's doesn't have a lot of friends. He's like, oh, I'm gonna make this robot costume out of cardboard and tape, and just show up at this and maybe make some friends. But these people are like this weird art collective that's like, our new art piece is gonna be murdering this guy here, and da 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 da. And then it's just bullshit happening like in this warehouse, and like it's kind of got this like Dale and Tucker feel to it a little bit, and it's just like people getting killed on accident, and he keeps like it's ridiculous. It's got a lot of nods to like the Warriors and stuff like that, but by no means, like, I remember watching this and being like, this guy, like, there is humor in this, but not like late in the film. It's mostly at the beginning of the film. But like, it's like, this is the same guy, and this was written and directed by him. So he actually made this after Blue Ruin, and Blue Ruin, I guess, did really well, and he was getting offers to make like multi-million-dollar films off the success of that movie. And he was like, there's no way, if I go down that road, there's no way that I'll ever get this movie made, because this movie doesn't need a huge budget, and I also don't want a lot of oversight on it. I want it to be what I want it to be. So he went against a lot of people's like, dude, you should really do this. He's like, nope, I've got this movie that I want to make. I understand that a $5 million budget isn't a lot, but that is what's going to make this work, and this is what you get, So it's really nice to hear someone not chasing the dollar, but chasing their art.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'm very glad he made it.
Yeah, I'm like, when you suggested this film, I've seen this film quite a few times, and I'm always kind of shocked at some of the stuff that you'll bring up, because you're like, I don't like blood and gore. And I'm like, this film's super gory.
But it's perfectly placed. It has to be intentional. This is, like you said, it pushes the story along. It's not gratuitous, I don't think, in any stretch of the imagination.
You don't think there's a single gratuitous scene of somebody getting literally split open with a box cutter?
That is extremely shocking. And that's the scene that I was alluding to earlier about it being the goriest.
I don't think that's the goriest. It is the most shocking though, because it was like you did not see that coming. It was like all of a sudden we have a belly opening, and I was like, okay.
Well, and it doesn't.
We're doing this.
And personally, it doesn't make a lot of sense when she does it. I guess, like, I mean, like, they're trying to knock the guy out and everything. So it makes sense that, like, she'd, like, cut his throat or whatever. But, like, literally splitting his stomach, like, from fucking navel to sternum is such an over-the-top thing to do that it kind of confuses me in a way. Like, I mean, like, I'm not throwing any shade at it, but, like, trying to put myself in that situation, I'm like, that doesn't seem like something I would do.
She has this dead look in her eye. There's something very deep. I don't know. There's something odd about how all of that transpires. Like, there's something, she's like detached from what's going on. It almost seems like she's doing it thoughtlessly. And I think that's what makes it even more shocking.
Yeah, everybody else freaks out, not her though. She's just like, unzips him basically.
Yeah, you had a part in killing my friend. I'm just going to eviscerate you. Yep. Here we go.
So, like, the plot, like, this is a film though that, like, the plot is buried a little bit. The actual, like, I can understand somebody watching this and being like, I don't fucking understand what's going on. It's just a lot of people getting fucking killed and Nazis, and that's about it. But, like, the real line from this is, like, they go and they meet this little punk kid that's got a fucking mohawk and everything. He runs a zine, and he's gonna set him up. He's like basically the local promoter. Like, this is legitimately a thing. It's a guy that basically gets connections from different venues and stuff, and then they promote shows. Well, he's kind of in a bind because he got his fucking license pulled or whatever, and he can't book shows and everything. And that's what leads them to this Nazi encampment out in the woods in near Portland, I believe is what he says. But he tells them that, you know, like, you're going to go down there and you're going to, my cousin is down there. His name's Daniel. You're going to go down and meet Daniel. He's going to be your hookup. He's trustworthy. He's like the dude, like, don't worry about get in, play your set, get the fuck out. Like, got to make your buck. Cause, like, they're going to make like $300 or something like that compared to the $6 in beans and rice that they made earlier. So the plot that a lot of people, I guess, that wouldn't like this film, if they're saying that there's no plot, is that Daniel is about to flip on the Nazis. He has evidence in his car of a murder that had happened last spring. Him and his girlfriend are about to jump ship on the Nazis, turn them in, and fucking get the fuck out of Dodge. But it's not just laid out like that for you. It's so sparse and broken up because, like, the first time you meet Daniel, like, they like come up to him and was like, hey, you and your girlfriend, and he's very like, he acts like a Nazi. What is it? Fucking slams him up. It's like, fucking like, shut the fuck up, load in, all this stuff. And it's like, don't fucking talk about anything. It's like, okay. And then later on you find out that his girlfriend is the girl that got murked.
Emily.
Emily. That is our catalyst for everything that happens beyond that, because they play their set. They play the Dead Kennedys song Nazi Punks Fuck Off to start off their set, which is stupid.
Problematic.
Very stupid.
But I 100% like understand that idea of, like, I got a really fucking dumb idea. Like, this is going to be fucking funny to us. And it's like, all right. And, like, the fact that they're, like, on stage and, I can't remember her fucking name. Maybe's character, Sam, is like, if you don't fucking play this song, I'm going to tell them all that you're Jewish. Like, it's like, don't be a fucking pussy, man. We're going to do this. They play it, they fucking play their set. They go back in, and that's when they happen upon the dead body. And it's basically from that point, the manager and stuff like that is like, you're not fucking going anywhere. We got to figure this shit out. And I cannot imagine to be put in that situation of, you already know you're in you're already around sharks. You're already around this. Mm-hmm. And, like, they refer to, like, red laces a lot in this film. And that is a very, very real thing. So that's not made up for this movie and everything. Red laces are mentioned a couple times, once in reference to people who were allowed to know what was going on, and once when a character earns his or her red laces. Red bootlaces, the color is an important signal in skinhead culture, indicating the wearer has shed blood for the skinhead movement. Racist skinheads will often randomly attack non-whites to earn their red laces. So the idea of like, you know, and there's different colors that signify different things in their culture. So when I'm talking about like they wear the fucking like outfit, it is very purposeful. Like you look at them, it's very gang culture and like wearing your colors and all that stuff. You see them, you go, oh shit, I don't want to fuck with that guy, because not that like you don't want to punch Nazis. I want to punch Nazis, but these fuckers are, it's like a pack of wolves. Like you fucking, you fuck one up, you're going to get fucked up. Like unless you have a crew with you, like it's crazy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so she's dead. We deal with Worm, who is possibly one of the scariest people in this movie. Just his fucking mannerisms. Who is the vocalist guitarist of the band Cowcatcher, which a cowcatcher is, I believe, the front part of a train.
Yep. Yes, it is.
That big fucking scooped thing at the front of a train. So, and like basically is like the reason he kills her is because he finds out she's leaving. But I don't think it's so much that he knows about the evidence and stuff like that. It's just that, no, you're not fucking leaving, because it's that whole blood in, blood out. You're in, because if you leave, you're a liability. Like that's it. So they kill her, and Dan has no idea about this. He's still playing the part. He's still like up for killing whoever needs be, because at the end of the day, him and his girlfriend need to get the fuck out of here. Like that's it. He has no allegiance to the ain't rights or the aren't rights.
Poor guys.
So yeah, he just needs to get the fuck out of there, and shit goes sideways hard, because you know, like the manager comes in, gives the big dude that gets unzipped fucking gun, and once the gun is introduced, that's when you understand the situation that you're in.
Yeah, that's a really good synopsis as to what the storyline is. That was great.
But yeah, once that gun's introduced, that's when, you know, Darcy shows up, Patrick Stewart, because they gotta fucking call the owner, you know. And another big reason, though, that like this is getting to the way it's getting is like, okay, we got a dead body here. We gotta fucking deal with this because we don't want the cops here. Why don't we want the cops here? It's because we're Nazis. Nope, it has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with the weapons. It has to do with the fact that they're heroin runners, and they get a fuck ton of heroin underneath the place. And that's how they fucking get their money. Because like you look at it and he's just like, you know, when they're trying to kick everybody out, they're shutting off the power. It's like, oh, we tripped our main breaker, come back tomorrow for all this stuff. You know what? Free drinks 2 to 4, you know, like all that. And it's just like, what the fuck? It's like, oh, because they're fucking like, this is how like big gangs and stuff like that, that's how they get their funding, is running drugs, sex trafficking, those kind of things. So to see that and everything, it's like, oh, it fucking makes sense. Like that it's they don't care that the cops show up.
Right. That's one of the biggest turns, I think, at the beginning, is where they end up calling the cops back and you go, oh shit, so what's happening? They're almost telling on themselves. And then to see those two twins and their allegiance is so strong, one stabs the other, and that's the end. So right there, you just instantly feel this sense of peril for the band. Like, okay, these are the lengths that these people are willing to go to disappear these people.
Yeah. And not disappear them. They don't want them to disappear, because if they disappear, if they want them to, if they're going to disappear, then it still drags it all back here. We have to set this up.
Stage it. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is so much more like,
it's so much worse.
Hilarious. Yeah. So yeah, like he like, and it's also matter of fact, like when Darcy is talking about things, it's just like, we need some true believers. That's like that. We just need some true believers. And then they get those two kids to like stab one another, and basically like they're going to give him $600. Then he's like, no, take it back, because they're going to take it. consider it like vouchers, and basically it's like, and if you go to jail, we'll double it. Like, it's so like they already have all this shit figured out, and that is what's so fucking scary. It's just like my reference earlier, you're like fucking surrounded by sharks. You are way out of your element, and this shit's just going on, and you're just stuck in this little green room.
But they're smart in the sense that they didn't trust them, so that was good in itself. Because like some people would take their work, the band, like they were like, "Oh, we're not going to hurt you. We're going to do this," and like instead of just believing them, like a lot of people probably would, thinking that they're just, you know, not as bad as we think they are, but like they don't play into that. So had they had listened to them and been like, "Oh, well, no, they're just really good people. This is an accident, and they're going to let us go," they actually like hold themselves up in like an actual location in order to protect themselves the best that they could. So I liked that part, because I was wondering if they were just going to like basically hand themselves over as sheep to slaughter, essentially, because, you know, they're just assuming that people are good, but they were like, no, we don't trust them, and they were very leery like from the get-go. So like that was smart, for especially for how young they are.
I wonder what the tipping point is for Darcy to the point where they need to be killed. Like,
I think that's from the beginning.
You think it's from them seeing that she's dead? Because they already don't have a problem sending their own to jail. They already don't have a problem with killing their own, because the heroin that he gives Cowcatcher when he's talking to the manager and stuff, he's like, you know, I heard there's a bad batch going around, and he makes sure that that's the fucking batch that he gets. So he's cleaning up all those loose ends and stuff. He probably would have done that in the first place, because that all still could come back to them. I wonder if it's just the 911 call, because
I think it's just seeing the dead people in general, and then them getting caught up in it, and they know that if they leave, they could go tell somebody. So they're like, we got to clean up our loose ends, because we don't want somebody dragging somebody else back here. Even if they could dispose of the body, they still have multiple people who are all going to corroborate the exact conversation about what happened. What
goes through my head is like, okay, so Worm kills the girl, right? And the band freaks out, deservedly so. If they didn't call 911, my brain goes to, all right, Darcy's already cool with killing them, so sending them off with the fucking heroin, right, to kill them, which cleans up that loose end, and then basically getting a hold of the cop, because they could make that body disappear if they wanted to, or to really cover their loose ends with the band, you call in the cops or whatever, and it's like, yeah, we had this, it's them, I heard that they went to this hotel, but they're already going to be fucking dead. So all of that kind of stuff, it makes them look good in the eyes of the band, so that's all tied up, you know what I mean? But it's the fact that they're calling 911 in a panic, and they're, fuck, we got to figure this out, and things just keep escalating and escalating. That's the point. The 911 call and the gun is the point. Like, now we're in a whole nother situation of, fuck, we got to get, because I think he is being completely honest in the sense of, this gun cannot be here, because that's a whole nother shit show of legalities and stuff like that, because it's not registered and all this stuff.
Well, they don't want to use, like, you can tell from the get-go, like they brought in dogs for a reason. They brought in, guns were their last resort, probably because they're loud, because they have, you know, signatures. They're traceable. Yeah, so
they're traceable, and they need to make this seem like they were trespassing.
Yeah,
and all that
themselves,
because then if they're if and when they're found, it's, well, you know, because it's so fucked up when he's just like, well, you know, what am I know that I showed up to my venue and there's a band that has an untraceable gun in this fucking place. Am I within my rights to fucking knock the door down and start shooting? And it's just like instantly, like, cold sweat kind of moment.
Yeah.
Like, oh fuck, like,
he thought of everything and rationalized this entire situation.
Well, he was in that part of power for a reason for that long, obviously, because he knows what he's doing, and he has really good crew if you thought about it. Like, the guy with the dogs was fucking brilliant, and like, he was just very chill, and like, I liked his character a lot in this. And then even like, they all seem to, even the young ones seem to like kind of fall in line, like the militant aspect.
It is, like, straight up.
Yeah. It was very much like nobody was like losing their mind, slipping off the handle. Like they were all very much, and the only person really was like the guy that originally came in that showed them the place, not the cousin,
the manager.
The manager, yeah.
That's why I'm considering him as.
Okay, that's the one you could tell from the very beginning that he was going to flip. Like I could tell that. Like that was a very, very easy thing. Yeah. Like
he's very squeamish almost.
Yeah.
Very like unsettled and everything. And yeah, by the end of the film, like it's finally gotten to that point that he has had enough. Like it's basically once he's gained his red laces, he's like, I can't fucking do this anymore.
I don't even know if it's he can't do enough. I think it's he just doesn't want to go to jail. He doesn't want to die, and he doesn't want to go to jail. He says that. He straight up says, I want to go to jail. Oh, I thought he says, I don't want to.
He's crossed that line. He's like, I don't want to be part of this anymore. Yep. I don't want to. And it's that whole thing of, it's not that I don't want to get in trouble. It's, I don't want to be wrapped up in this anymore. I want to go to jail. So like, but
they're going to get your ass in jail. So that's the other thing that's fucked up. It's like, oh, let's go to jail, but then they're going to shank your ass in jail because you're associated who you're associated. Whether it's your people that know that you turned on them, or it's the
that's
people.
Gonna be so much worse.
People who know you're a neo-Nazi or were, and they don't play with that. So you're going to be gone regardless.
Well, the only thing that's going to be, I guess, his way through jail and stuff is he's going to be in solitary confinement, basically, or protective custody, because, like the people
everyone there will be out to get him.
Yeah, because and you hope the people that hate the neo-Nazis get you, because the neo-Nazis are going to be fucking far worse to somebody that flips on them. Yep.
He's getting it from all sides.
And I would like to say, you were saying some stuff about like, you really like this character. By no means is any of this stuff about talking about characters and stuff like that and how we like them yay Nazis, fuck them.
No, but they were acted
characters. This is to the listeners. Fuck Nazis. Come at me. Whatever. I don't give a shit. But yeah. He said bad. Nazis are bad. What a revolutionary idea.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't mean that they're not good actors in this movie. And then they covered, and the one thing I was like really impressed with is that they didn't, only once in this was there like a bad word dropped in terms of like racial slurs. And I was impressed by that, because they used that in a way that made it more effective than if they were dropping it every 2 seconds. And I was like, oh shit, he just said that. And I was like, this is so fucked up. Yeah. But it fits well with what they're portraying. And I liked that they weren't using it just like left and right. They played it well in that.
Well, because that's how it really is. Like that, I always have a problem in films. I'll use what's his nuts rope. I'm losing all my credibility. Did Pulp Fiction? Did Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah, Quentin Tarantino writes all of his characters to speak like he does, and it's just in this and fucking. So like it would be like if this film were like, okay, they're neo-Nazis, so they gotta say all of these slurs all the time. Yeah. It's like realistically, like they probably don't. Like, they fucking hate everybody.
Literally, yeah.
But at the same time, like it's not going to be that gratuitous, I don't think, because especially in this film, these are very cold, calculated people.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I thought, like I said, I liked the movie. It was good. I wasn't as gory as I expected. Like when we went into this, you were like, this was going to be gory because
I didn't say it was going to be gory.
Well, you said it was gory in the sense that you were surprised that Tasha liked it.
That's all I said. I said, I'm surprised Tasha picked this movie because it goes places. Like
this is probably on the top end of what is acceptable in my eyes, gore wise. Okay. Like it never goes over the top. Like I said earlier, it doesn't go over the top. I will say the dog scene where the dog is eating the guy's throat is rough. But the way
she set a pun,
I
walked right into it. What an idiot!
I was trying to think of a better word, but it fit. beautifully.
Yeah.
That part was because it was in dim light, I think helped because it wasn't right in close. Like it was just done so well. Like it seemed so realistic and it was done like the dog was I feel like the dog was relatively calm. It wasn't like an attack the whole time. So things like that, it's done well. When Sam gets attacked, that is, when Sam gets attacked, that is, but that's also, it's more intense, but you see less. So that balance was done so well across the whole movie.
Well, and like all the violence for the most part is very abrupt. So like, you know, like I it's not that those are jump scares or anything, but it's like a car crash.
To me, they are. Yeah.
It's like a car crash. You're just not expecting it. You're like, holy shit, you know, like when they're chopping up his arm or when Daniel
gets his face blown off.
When that fucking happens.
I love that scene. That was so good.
I think it's Reese when he jumps out the window and stuff. It's just a group of fucking Nazis out there just fucking stabbing him. Like they've got it all fucking covered. And it's just like, good fucking God. And like even
once there's a little touch of hope that then it's like intense.
Yeah.
Death.
It just, God damn. And like I love the smartness of the band. The smartness, such yes, good big
words today.
Big word. The intelligence of the band with the feedback and stuff like that. Like we got to get rid of these dogs because that is straight up the most horrifying. Like every bit of like the shotguns and stuff like that in here aren't even close to like the idea of being hit with a machete or being mauled to death by a dog. Like those two things are so visceral. All the violence in this film is so believable in my eyes and so fucking like it's really unnerving. It's not the gore, it's in the act in which they're like doing the violence is very, very visceral.
It's the thought behind it. For him to say, don't hit bone. Like, you can use the machete, but you can only go so far down. Like, little things like that is just, it just adds to that terror. Like, this could probably happen. I'm sure there's someone out there that can calculate this way and have
100%.
100% probably already has. Like, we don't know what happens in the backwoods of fucking Portland, Oregon area. With the neo-Nazis. Maybe this was taken from a history lesson. I have no idea. Maybe. But yeah, it is believable in that sense. Like, I liked all of that. And yeah, you do have that hope of getting loose and then you get basically you die. And then, but I didn't think, like, I know, Tasha, you're very sensitive about like gore and stuff. I didn't think this movie was gory at all. Like it had its
all.
Really? No.
Right.
No. There was the only.
I'll check the box. It is gory. Like I'm not saying it's over.
Yelkin almost lost his hand, but okay.
Yeah, like that is. Like, it looks like they put his arm into a meat grinder.
That was the only scene to me that was like, oh man, that's really rough. But that was about the only one. Like when she gets shot in the leg, nothing. When the guy gets shot in the face, it's so brief that you don't see it. When the guy gets hacked in the neck, it's so brief you don't get it's not a lingering thing. It's the dogs.
Why do you need to see more of it? You know what happened. It's there.
No, I need more sloppiness.
I don't need more, but it's the sense of like whether it registers as gore or just violence in the sense of
the gutting.
Of just. It wasn't really gutting though.
It straight up was. You see like the different layers of viscera, like as
but his intestines don't come out. It's just his fat.
It's not gory to just go from belly button to sternum with a box cutter.
It wasn't that bad.
Deep.
It was surprising, but to me it wasn't like pouring blood. It wasn't doing anything like that. It was kind of like in the sense of us.
I'm literally just going to check box like so, So dragging a dead body by the head with a knife and then pulling the knife out and the blood coming out, that's not... I don't give a shit, but I'm just like, that's not gory to you?
It wasn't really? Done like in a sense where it just like seemed like a standard action violent film. Like it didn't feel, that's why I said this doesn't feel like horror to me, because horror is like that extra layer of like...
I've broken you. I think I straight up broken you.
Maybe.
But for you, is gore like gratuitous violence over the top? Blood and guts?
Maybe a little bit more than what we had here, but like it has to register in a specific way. Like when we watched when we watched the Autopsy of Jane Doe. Some people could say that movie is gory because you literally fillet a woman open, right? But I didn't find it that way because it was just anatomical, like in the sense of like they were just going through it. It wasn't like blood gushing and all this other stuff. I don't know why. This is why, like, maybe it's because I grew up watching a lot of like action films where people get the shit beat out of them and there's blood flying and all of that stuff that just doesn't register. It just doesn't to me. So like this movie, while it had its moments, was like, oh, I was more concerned about the dogs getting hurt.
Yeah,
and I was
which they all survive the end of the film.
Yeah,
It's so sweet.
Yeah,
Raise his head on his
I
owner.
know, that was so sad. And then
It takes dogs to be Nazis to make it all the way through the film, is what I'm finding out.
Right. They still have to be shit dogs, but it survived.
Yeah. So I was glad the dogs were fine. And I don't know why. Like the guy getting stabbed in the back just felt like an action sequence for me. Or like we watch like movies where they get pencils through their hands and shit. And like that doesn't seem. I don't know. It doesn't seem great. So.
By no means am I saying this is the goriest film I've ever seen. This is
I know it just doesn't register
or
to
anything.
me. Yeah,
we're not seeing.
Oh, it's not the goriest, but I think it's one of the best done in my eyes.
I just find it not concerning, but I do find it interesting that you're like, it's not gory. I'm like,
it
what the
feel
fuck
that
are
way
you
to
talking?
Like, 2 people got eaten by dogs,
but you don't see it. But
you know what? That wasn't enough people. It wasn't enough people, damn it.
You allude to it. It does.
You see that dog literally at, I think it's Tiger's throat.
It is, but it's dark and you don't see anything other than a dog just there.
I think you do. Okay.
You don't.
I have a question. Do sounds add to it for you, Steph?
Sometimes. It depends on sometimes.
Not a lot of squishiness.
Sound is a very
that makes sense. Like a very effective tactic for me.
For you, yes. Yeah, that makes sense. To me, it's more about the visualization. Like, I'm not saying that this movie wasn't violent or it wasn't, it didn't have any of those things. It just didn't cross that line for me.
I just find it really interesting that you're just like, it was not gory. Like, it's such a definitive statement. You're just like, no, it was not gory. And I'm just like, what?
We didn't see any guts. Like, there was.
We did. We literally saw guts.
We didn't. We saw fat. That's not the same thing.
That's not true.
That's no intestines in that.
Yeah, it just hasn't spilled out yet. But yeah, you do see the intestines under, like, through that.
I did not see that. Nope, did not.
Well, you'll have to rewatch it, and then you'll be like,
and I'm
show me
maybe.
Show me them guts.
But
didn't linger long enough.
Yeah.
No, exactly. Well,
I'm just going to have to fucking change it up for next month and really get bloody. Really get gloopy.
Tasha hates that. Don't do that. Don't do that. And I'm not saying it's not a good movie if it doesn't have those things. It just sometimes they don't register for me in the way that they do for other people. And and then like this, my favorite part of this entire movie, which we can all say, was the scene with at the end, like not the very end, but the end when they're in the heroin chamber, basically underneath, and they're like goading these guys, and she's dropping bodies from the first floor to the bottom floor. I fucking love that. That was goddamn brilliant. I thought that was amazing.
Yeah, and they're counting shots and all that. And
they go full paintball.
Yeah, and then she
just clang, 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 clang.
Well, while like he was a cool character, he was more bait than anything because she was the one that fucking took their asses out, and I was like, "Go women!" And that was my favorite thing.
He was already good as dead, basically at that point. Like he's so fucked. And then the idea of wrapping those wounds in duct tape.
God. I don't even want to talk about
makes me
taking
go
that
like,
off.
yeah, you're gonna have to go to the hospital, and they better knock my ass out.
No shit, that was insane. Well, because I was the whole time when they were doing the duct tape scene, I was like, why aren't they putting cloth around it first and then duct tape? But they're like, fuck it, we're just
like
duct taping
20-year-old punk kids. They don't know.
They also are probably in shock a little bit because their friend literally just fucking turned his arm into ground meat. Like, but something that I did think was really cool that I didn't realize watching this until I started doing research and stuff is there's a band that I really like playing music in this movie that I will talk about when we're talking about championing stuff. Okay. But the soundtrack that's playing in the background and stuff of like through the loudspeakers and stuff, you've got like Slayer and like I'm trying to remember who else is like playing it. I think like Motorhead might. Well, hold on, I've got it right here. We've got the band Fear, the band Obituary, Napalm Death, Bad Brains, Slayer, like all those, like it's definitely like, oh, I've been to this venue.
Yeah.
Okay, so who is your guys' favorite character?
Ooh. I have different favorites for different reasons. I really like Patrick Stewart's character because of how, like, he's such a good bad guy. Like,
He is. Yeah.
how cold and calculated he is terrifying, straight up terrifying. But then I really like Reese, the jujitsu one, you know, like his fucking, like, just laid out, like this whole, like, we're going to fucking deal with this. Like, I really like his character a lot too.
Okay. What do you think, Tasha?
I feel for Pat, Anton Yelkin's character. He's definitely not my favorite, but I like him. I'm like empathetic towards him. I think Amber is my favorite character. It's a toss up between Amber and Sam. So like the bad bitches of the group.
Is Amber? I'm terrible with names. So is Amber the one that is the final girl, basically? In
Yes,
this?
Amber's the blonde, and Sam's maybe from Arrested Development.
Okay, and she was the girl that was in their band, right? The curly-haired girl. Okay,
Yeah.
I've never watched Arrested Development. So.
Oh, it's so good. You would hate it, but it's so good.
I know. I already knew that.
She doesn't like cringy comedies, and that's what I love.
Oh, yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's like there's lots of weird, awkward silences, and she's like, "No, thanks." And I'm like, "Oh, it's so good."
No, I can't do it. I mean, Brooklyn Nine-Nine is our happy medium, I think.
Yeah.
So I really like that show. But yeah, I like her the best too. I thought she did a great job. She definitely had that, like, she played kind of all over the place in terms of like being a victim, but then not being a victim, and then, you know, being the strong one. And I just liked her character a lot. And then the guy at the end, like I said, I don't know names well. He was okay. I mean, he was the smartest out of all of them, realistically, because he was kind of the
What, like the guy at the end?
Our final guy, the guy that duct tape guy.
Anton Yelkin's character.
Yeah. He was a good actor in this, but his voice is just so grating to me. I did not like that, and like I want somebody who has a decent voice.
His screams though when he's getting attacked is literally enough to like make my stomach like turn a little bit because it's so believable.
He's such a good actor.
He has such a like a little boy, we need to care for you kind of voice.
Kind of, yeah.
You know?
And then I did like Patrick Stewart's character, but I don't know. I didn't love him. I mean, he's a great actor. It was just not, I don't know. But I did like the guy with the dogs because he was just very, almost like so, his face, he just didn't show nothing. He was so poker faced through all of it. And he was just very like, get the job done. There's no inflection. It was just very
it was very business as usual in the sense where like he's just because he's a dog fighter is essentially because he's talking about these are fighting dogs. I can't send both in because then what do you think will happen? Talking about prices for studs and all this stuff. It's just like, holy fucking shit.
Yeah. This is his job. This is what he does.
God, it's so fucking scary. Like the idea of what's going on in this film and the fact that this is steeped heavily in reality is far more terrifying than what you see on screen. Like the film itself is shocking in the sense of like, I believe, shocking in the sense of like, you don't like the first quarter of the film. It's like, okay. And then they've got this shit going on. And then like, the violence that is then led into is so like out of left field that you're like, what the fuck is going on?
Mm-hmm. Well, what's unnerving the most and I think this is what makes it more effective to me, especially if you're living obviously we're all living in the world today, but if you pay attention to politics today and how alt-right people are, and with like everything that's going on with like the Republican Party and how they're trying to strip everybody from, you know, their pretty much women in general from everything, and giving all these, we don't even need to go into the depth of all of it, but anyway, and how much there's been a resurgence of like this being acceptable behavior out in like literal everyday walking around.
And one thing that I'm going to say, you say alt-right, I refuse to say alt-right anymore. They're neo-fascists. These
There
are
you go.
like, stop fucking, like, this, and this isn't to you.
I know.
The news wants to be like, oh, they're alt-right. It's like, no. These are fascist-leaning people. Stop
Well, that's what
trying
they're
to
trying
make
to do.
Stop humanizing them by just, they're ultra-right. No, these fuckers are bad. Like, I'm
They are.
sorry, but like, well, I'm not sorry. If you are okay with removing rights from anyone that isn't like you, or you think that anybody that's not like you should be, jailed or killed or anything, or just shouldn't exist, saying like, oh, I just wish they didn't exist, is such a nice way of saying I wish they were fucking dead. Go fucking die. Like just go fucking. I know that that's so hypocritical to say, like, if anybody, but like, if your ideology is about bringing pain and suffering to others, and that you just want a fucking pure bloodline and stuff like that, go fuck yourself. I hope you suffer.
Yeah, I get that. Well, and I didn't know how to word it other than saying alt-right. So yeah,
No, I know.
It is fascism.
You just-
and
you
that's
just
what we're
triggered
dealing
me.
with. I know, and that's fine. But I think that's what's scary, like the most scary about this. I mean, we have a former president that literally comes out and talks about, stuff like this, and people are like championing it, and that is what's problematic right now. And so we're watching a movie that has a very heavy feel that deals with stuff that our former president literally is championing right now on the campaign trail. And it's really scary because we have people in the South, especially in the South, Texas, Florida, some other states, Arizona, Jesus Christ, and some other states that are just fucking horrific, just human beings doing stuff that they're doing, and they're all aligned in the same kind of concept as this. That's what's scary.
Well, if you don't like it, you can get out.
Yeah, well, so can they. So it's just absolutely insane. And that's what's scary about this. It's like, that's why it feels so real, because of that. And like, that's what I liked about the movie. I didn't love the movie again, because it was good. It just wasn't something that I loved. I do think that like our teenagers would probably really like it, in the sense of like getting that exposure and kind of understanding what that culture looks like, at least having that exposure to it and understanding that, this is what you could,
well, yeah,
what we're dealing with.
We've had these conversations with some of the girls and stuff where it's like, they're so caught off guard when people don't believe or think like they do, because they've been raised in households that are very open and understanding to things. So once there's like a little pebble in the road, it's like, I don't understand how people can think like that. And it's like, oh, little bird, you have no fucking idea how fucking horrible people are.
Like something even so subtle as Darcy never refers to the women. It's always gentlemen. Whenever he's talking to the group, women are never addressed. So even down to like those subtle conversation things, like has this huge overarching like feel to it too when you watch it a second time. At least I didn't pick that up the first time, but even down to that.
It makes sense though, because like in the sense of just to kind of draw a line into some things that people may have watched or whatever. So like Sons of Anarchy, like motorcycle clubs, they're gangs, motorcycle clubs, stuff like that. It's like the guys are the members. The women are like, for lack of a better term, but they're like hanger-ons. Like,
unless they're an old lady. Yes,
but I'm just saying, it's like even an old lady though will not have the respect that an actual member would have. And I'm talking
old lady, but yeah,
I understand, but I'm talking about it like not in fiction. I'm talking like in real world.
I'm talking about that.
No,
too.
I know. What I'm saying though is, push comes to shove, a woman will never gain the heights that a man will in that.
Oh yeah. Well, because they're not a member. It's always club first. That's
correct.
It always is.
Correct.
And that's the
what
same
I'm
thing
getting
with
at.
this situation too. Yeah, it's always the club first. And regardless of what it looks like, that's what the rules are.
Yeah,
and so women are second-class citizens, and when their involvement, and
it's because both of those things, and I understand that, like not every motorcycle club is a criminal organization and stuff, but like when I refer to like a motorcycle gang, I'm legitimately talking about the fucking groups that are referred to by the
they're
federal
1%ers.
Federal government as gangs and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're the 1%ers.
They run the same program. It's might is right. That's why the men are viewed as, like, you can go back into like religion and stuff like that, because at the end of the day, what is going to, like, being soft and gentle, well, fuck it, I'll just kill you. And if you can just kill your opposition, then you're the only one. And those are the things that these kind of groupings believe in everything. And that's why the group comes first, because you know what? They're going to protect me. And as long as they're going to protect me, I'll fucking do whatever is necessary to keep myself protected.
Yep. It's true.
So,
yeah, it's crazy.
So, with that, do you girls want to get into your reviews, or do you have anything else you want to talk about? You want to talk about Nazis anymore? Because
I want to talk about that Anton Yelchin looks a lot like Elijah Wood, and that was really hard to not focus on the first time I watched the movie.
You want to see something crazy? Look up our director on IMDb and tell me that Jeremy Saulnier isn't Anton Yelchin. And there are pictures of both of them together.
What the hell, man?
They look shockingly similar.
They do. I think he looks more like Anton Yelchin than Elijah Wood does.
I think he looks more like Anton Yelchin than Anton Yelchin.
Then Anton Yelchin looks like Anton Yelchin.
But yeah, like, I was shocked because I was like, oh, they put a picture of Anton Yelchin up here, and then you like click over to the next picture on IMDb, and it's like, oh, they're both there. Actually, Anton Yelchin doesn't look like I think he does, but you know what? I think Jeremy Saulnier is actually Anton Yelchin.
Yeah,
so.
When his hair's shorter. Wow, okay. Well,
okay. I was trying to figure out where I knew the guy that plays Tiger in this at.
Okay.
He's been in a lot of stuff that I've seen.
Callum Turner.
Yeah, he was in Fantastic Beasts. That's probably one of the reasons why I remember him. He was in The Masters of Air, which is that show I don't think we watched that yet. Or maybe that was a movie.
Oh, no, that's the Apple Plus World
that's
War
the thing
II
we
movie.
talked about. Yeah, Fantastic Beasts is what he's from. That's where I remember him from. He's a big character in like a couple of those movies, the Dumbledore one and some other ones. So yeah, I was like, I know that face from somewhere. But
and the guy that plays Gabe looks a lot like the guy who created Drunk History. There's so many similarities.
Oh yeah, Gabe, is that the manager?
Yeah.
The
one that goes to the end of the movie. Yep.
Markin Mason, I don't know, Macon, probably Mason Blair. He's actually been in almost every single film that our writer, Jeremy Saulnier, has made. I just went through his IMDb and I was just like, oh, he was in Murder Party, and he was like, because he looks familiar, and I'm like, what's he been in? Oh, fucking everything that dude has made. So yeah. Okay. Anyway, all right, let's get in. He looks
familiar to me because he looks like Derek Waters.
Shout out Drunk History. That show's great.
I love it.
It's not around anymore, but if you want some good laughs and some wrong history.
It's so good.
So, all right. We're going to review and everything. So I'll make mine short and sweet. I can't think of a film. Like, obviously there's siege films. Like, that's not what I'm getting at here. But I can't think of another film that is set in this way, like the punk community, hardcore community and stuff, that gets the tone and everything so perfectly right. It does not feel cartoonish. It feel like the Ain't Rights feel like 100 bands that I've played with in the past. Yeah, so like between that, the acting, the shock of the violence, like I've seen this film, I don't know, maybe like 5 times now, and it's still like, you know what's going to happen, but you kind of forget every single thing that's going to happen. Like, I remembered the blade to the arm door scene, and I remembered the dog attacks, because those are like not actually scarring, but they obviously sit like that. Those are the things that sit with me in this film. But the direction of it, I think it's really well shot. The music and stuff in this film is fucking cool. I really like the fact that the band, the Ain't Rights, were like, here's some songs, you got to play these and everything, and they fucking did. And like, he did a good job at being like, I want people that are into music to be able to look at this and be like, yep, because there's nothing worse than seeing someone like just kind of like, and it's just like, I instantly am just like, that motherfucker doesn't know how to play drums. but it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's an hour and a half. Once I think it's like probably like 20 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, probably 20 into the film. It's just like, all right, now we're fucking going. It makes me laugh that first spot where like the violence isn't happening and stuff, like the way that they're like, oh yeah, this guy, like they call him like a little, like, I think they call him like a fetus or something like that. Like the Mohawk kid, like talking about how he's like this young guy and everything. And you can see that like elitism, like we're in a band, like I don't want to fucking put stuff on the internet because it, like, I do agree with the fact of like, you know, like seeing live music is so much better and different than listening to it and everything. But like I have met bands, I have been in bands that are so much like it's fucking like, it's about like, you know, like it's all this like, it's selling out if you do anything to make you any money, and it's just like, Jesus fucking Christ. So like hearing that kind of stuff, I'm like, yep, I've been there. Like I vividly remember that. All that stuff like this, and like I didn't see this film until, I don't know, I was in my late 20s, early 30s. Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah, I'm old. So like I'd already like went through all that stuff, and it just kind of spoke to me in that way. Not because there's Nazis in it, not that, but like the whole vibe of like the punk culture and stuff really fucking does it for me in this film. And if it weren't for that, it wouldn't be getting the score that it's getting. Like if you just take a Siege film and you throw it in any other situation, it would lose points. But it gets like mad props for me with the vibe of the film and everything, because of that. And the amount of times that I've watched this is a film that I will always suggest to people that if they have not seen this film, you've never heard of Green Room, fucking check it out, because it's not a gory movie, I've been told.
None at all.
Nope.
All
that being said, I'm giving Green Room an 8 out of 10.
Okay, that's good.
All right. I feel like I'm just going to step on a lot of what you said, Nick.
That's fine.
I see, like there is a familiarity. I was almost like Amber's character, not the Nazi component, but I was the girl that was always with the band, most likely yours, or like other friends. So like the green room, kind of the dingy room with the band, was my high school. So there's that familiarity, that comfort of that, like, those kids. I was I was in that scene, not necessarily punk, but like in that scene with a lot of my friends. The pacing of the movie is beautifully done. Patrick Stewart's character is terrifying and very reminiscent to me, I think, of like Heisenberg in Breaking Bad. I loved his character. I loved Bryan Cranston in that. This has tinges of that because of that matter of fact, like, this is what we have to do. Come on, guys, we're getting it done. Just almost the, like, he would get frustrated if things weren't taken care of quickly. There was no panic. There was never panic. It was almost annoyance. There
was one time he palms the dude and like, that's it. That's the only time.
Yeah, I forgot about that. He calls him stupid or something like that, and palms Gabe's face into the wall.
Then he apologizes.
He lost his cool. Just how it's off the beaten path. So you're secluded in this woods, in this like old bar. I loved that component. I liked the claustrophobic component of it being primarily in that room, but then you also but thankfully you got to see a lot of what was going on the outside. Had it just been from the band's perspective, I wouldn't have liked it as much.
Correct.
So being able to see both sides was really nice. And I really liked the ending. I like how, it was painfully, graphic and sad, and you think that there's no end in sight, but then a couple people most likely end up safe.
Yeah.
But this is a movie. This is the second time I've watched it. I watched it once last year. I think, Nick, you may have recommended it. Either way, otherwise, I just stumbled upon it. I will watch it again. I really, really like this movie. I'm giving it a 9.
Holy shit!
Yeah, there's very little that I could say is bad about this movie. I love the characters. The story is great. The dog survives. I feel like there's very little cookie cutter.
Yeah.
Like being able to figure out what's coming next in this movie, which I loved. I loved the peril of, they're going to go get the shotgun and then that guy gets his face shot off. Like those bits are just so good. And the gore, whether or not there is any.
Not a gory film. Not a gory film, I've been told.
It's done impeccably. So, yes, I'm giving it a 9.
Real quick, what you're talking about, like the way that this film ends and everything, we didn't really talk about it so much previously about like how it ends, and I'm not going to get into all that, but I do love like the final bit of this movie where they're just sitting there. He's like, I figured it out, my desert island band. She just looks at it and was like, tell someone that gives a fuck. Just like, I don't fucking care. And then it just ends.
I feel so bad for Pat in that scene. Like, there are bits where I feel bad for him throughout the whole movie, but there's something about that just like gets me in the heart. Like, he just wants to share it.
And the director said that like there are 2 bands that he has in mind for Pat sang, and one of them was Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Okay. You like them. So.
Yeah, I fucking love them.
I know.
They're great.
Okay, so I don't have any punk history, so I don't like punk music or that scene. So this is definitely not in terms of like for you guys nostalgia.
Go on, all those neo-Nazis from yore.
Yeah, but I mean in terms of the music scene, like, and just that whole concept, none of that resonates with me. So I was coming into this being completely blind, didn't even know it was about a music stuff. So like I had no idea. I assumed that the green room had to have either the fact that it was a room that was green, or it had to do something with music, or like some place where people sit like they do in anything like that. So I didn't know. I liked the movie. I thought it was good. I did not love the movie. So I thought it was well acted. I thought it was done impeccably well. I thought it was shot well. I'm sorry, guys. I do not think it was gory. There was a couple scenes that had...
It's going to be a tagline right on it. Green room, not gory.
Not gory. Yeah.
Pod of the Dead, not gory.
It just did not resonate to me. Just like it didn't resonate in the sense of like a typical horror movie to me. Like, because normally we watch movies that are scarier, and like this is scary in a different front, like more in a realistic aspect, and I liked that, but that's not necessarily what I crave in terms of watching. So and because of that, even though it was acted well, and I do think a lot of people who watch this would really enjoy this movie, I'm giving this movie a 6.5. I thought it was good.
That's fair.
I would probably rewatch it. I would recommend it. It's just for me personally, it just didn't hit on all the buttons. Needs
more guts.
Needs
more blood.
Yeah, it just needed a little bit something that I felt was missing. I can't tell you what was missing. I just felt like it just didn't have that.
Well, and that's what I was saying is like this movie, if it weren't for its theming, not the Nazi part, I don't feel that I should have to say that repeatedly, but I do. But like the scene, the punk scene kind of thing, that it gives it's so relatable and stuff. Like the whole desert island band thing, like that, these are conversations I've had and still have. Like, yeah,
and that's where it doesn't resonate with me. Correct. So like that's not my thing. So yeah, I definitely think this movie is something that I do believe that most people would like, is if you are okay with watching something that's a little more realistic
and not gory at all,
and a little less gory,
and yeah, there you go, and less on the jump scare horror aspect. Like this doesn't have like crazy ominous music in the sense of it like being a score. Like that, it plays like music, like band music. So like you're getting definitely a different relationship with this movie than you would a typical horror movie, because it does feel more like a crime movie, and things like that. So I did like that about it. It was just different, and and it was an A24 film, and I always like A24. So yeah,
it's an extra point just for that.
Well, probably, honestly, yes. I probably like, well, this is really like a 5.5, but it was A24, so we're just gonna give it an extra point for that. So yeah, probably. So.
All right, Tasha, what's that give us for our score?
gives us a 78, guys.
God damn it! I thought we were going to get over 80 points, but 78. That's in Hall of Fame territory now. You are like, I would be shocked if you didn't like this movie.
I agree. I think most people would like it.
There's a lot there, and it's also, it rewards multiple viewings. There is like, it is not just a surface level film. I think there's a lot to be grabbed from, and then something for me. If you like look at the back of their van and you can see like the stickers of the bands and stuff, they definitely are more on the left leaning side. You've got bands like Nothing and stuff like that are on there. And then once you're in the green room and it's just like nonstop neo-Nazi, like white power kind of stuff, like stuck everywhere. This film's great. But all right. So we're going to get into, we're going to give out homework. And then we're going to talk about, we'll champion first. We'll champion first, and then we'll get into homework. Do either of you girls have anything that you would like to champion?
I do. I forgot about something.
Okay, what you got?
Okay. So I went and saw that new movie. Was it? I always get this messed up. It's Fall Guy, not Free Guy. I saw Fall Guy in the theater last week with Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt. I think that's who's in it.
I don't know. I never remember her in any films ever.
Yeah. I thought it was a really cute movie. If you like high action movies that with like, it's supposed to be a romantic comedy, but to me it felt like a love letter to stuntmen. That's what it felt like to me. And that's kind of, the guy who wrote the story was actually a stuntman, so like it makes sense. But it was kind of ironic because Ryan Gosling is the stuntman, but then he's also having other people do his stunts for him, obviously, because he doesn't do his own stunts. So that was funny and ironic in its own self. But I liked it. I thought it was cute. It was fun. It was very ridiculous because they're shooting a movie in the movie. And we've seen movies like this before, obviously, but they do it in a very weird, ironic way. And it's like a sci-fi fantasy film that they're filming that's got to do with like cowboys and aliens kind of, and it's very strange, but it was funny. I liked it. And then if you want to go see a movie and if it's still the theater when this airs, then you should probably go see that because it was cute. And then the new Bridgerton series is coming out this week, and so I just rewatched season 1 because that's one of my favorites. And then I'm gonna say Bridgerton just because it's amazing and I love it, and I just rewatched season 1. So
Tasha, I saw you shaking your head. You got nothing for this week?
I have a really good dinner I made.
What do you got? What coming over to Tasha's kitchen corner? What do we got?
So, I'm racking my brain trying to think of, the best thing that happened this week. And honestly, it was the Korean barbecue meatloaf I made a couple nights ago.
Nice.
So, that's all I got. I started watching Dark Matter, the show that I championed last week that I was so excited about. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to stick with it.
You're pulling it back. Read the book, don't watch the TV series.
Yeah, 100% read the book. I'll get back to you about the series. So far, I'm not so sure.
All right. Mine is I previously stated that there's a band in here that I didn't realize they had music in this movie until I was researching. It's the band Midnight. They're from Cleveland. It's a one-man operation. He does all of the instrumentation and vocals, and then has a band put together to play live. They just put a new album out the beginning of March called Hellish Expectations. So Midnight, if you are familiar with the band like Motorhead and stuff like that, it's definitely in that vein. It's very sleazy, it's very rock based, but very fast riffy. It's thrash and rock kind of stuff, but then it's sleazy and over the top satanic, like on its sleeve, wearing the cliche as a badge of honor. It's not we're evil, but it's we're gonna sing songs about in servitude to Satan. And it's just really fucking fun. Like I said, if you're into that kind of this is the kind of music that'll make you want to drive your car fast and fucking drink some beers and fucking, whatever. Not
while you're driving, please.
Oh, both at the same time. I'm going to drink this car and drive this beer. No. But yeah, Midnight, Hellish Expectations, super dope. And then talking about television stuff a little bit. Last night, I restarted watching I started rewatching The X-Files from my youth. So they just put it on Disney Plus. It's been on Hulu and everything, but Disney Plus, it's not going to have the commercials and stuff because I'm not going to fucking pay to not have commercials. Anyway, and it still fucking holds up pretty well. I saw your face, Tasha. You have to pay certain prices on Hulu to not have commercials.
Right.
I'm not going to pay.
Do that with Disney too.
I don't.
Because you pay to not have commercials.
No, I'm saying like there's a you pay for a price to watch it, but then you have to pay extra to not have commercials. You got it. Anyway. Nope,
but it's fine.
It still holds up really well. I got like 4 episodes in. Yeah. So if you've never heard of the X-Files, what the fuck is wrong with you? But it
could be our younger crowd.
Yeah. If you like ooky spooky government conspiracy stuff, give it a shot. Especially the first 2 episodes are super, super good. Then it like starts branching out, and if you don't like it after the first 2 episodes, you're probably not going to like it. But yeah,
that's cool. That's good to know.
Yeah,
you don't have to invest like seasons.
Yeah. There's fucking like, God, a shit ton of seasons. I think it's in the double digits.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but we'll get into homework.
Okay.
Finishing up our May 24, we will be covering. Drum roll, please. I don't hear a drum roll. There it is. Oh my God! I think I've got a flat tire. We will be covering Ari Aster's film Midsummer.
Hey!
So
Woo-hoo!
Tasha has been wanting to cover this film since the start of this podcast.
Yeah,
literally,
she's been talking about this nonstop. Yeah,
Such a good movie.
I haven't seen it yet, so this will be my first time.
I believe I've watched this movie once.
I also learned that I have a coworker who also likes Ari Aster movies.
Okay,
that's really cool. We were talking about Hereditary on our way back from our zoo trip yesterday.
Ooh, yes. Nothing says zoo trip like trauma.
Yeah.
Right. So shout out to Staley. We have a common interest of horror movies.
All right, Staley. If you're listening, you got some Ari Aster coming for you.
Yep.
So for Pod of the Dead, I am Nicholas.
I'm Stephanie.
I'm Natasha.
Come back and listen to us, or else.